We're going to be taking the brand new Super Saiyan Blue Goku and Vegeta and building a team for them from scratch. We're going to be talking about all the best characters to use alongside this character to get the most bang for your buck and dominate and get some free easy wins in Dragon Ball Legends PvP. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you guys finished the video, I really appreciate it, but comment down below hashtag I finished it. So let me tell you guys what you need to know to get some free easy wins. You're going to be looking like a mod or a hacker. You're going to look like you got that infinite Chrono Crystal hack because your team is going to be dominating in PvP with the new Goku and Vegeta. These guys are insanely strong, and the fun thing about them is that their team has been a culmination of all the recent banners throughout this year. Universe Rep / Universe Survival Saga has been getting a ton of buffs this year, so I'm going to focus mainly on that because that is their best team. I'm also going to show you variations of their family teams that you can use them on. So starting off very short, very sweet, we're going to go ahead and pull over to the Universe Reps character tag. This is a tag that I think got added earlier this year, and like I mentioned earlier, this tag has seen a lot of introduction throughout the year. We got all these characters you see on the screen, and there are some super duper strong options here. Goku and Frieza, a character that was released during the anniversary, still one of the most powerful characters ever released on Dragon Ball Legends, and you are going to be wanting to use them alongside Goku and Vegeta. Now, first and foremost, with this character being a range type character, Goku and Frieza being a melee character, you want to try to build your teams one way. You don't really want to blend those two typings all too much, but the best of the best can succeed no matter the situation that they're in, and both of these characters can excel. Now, where that does come into play is with the Z abilities. Of course, you want to make sure that you are typically catering to your character's preferred playstyle with your Z abilities. Now, this team's going to wind up being pretty mixed, as you will see, because the next character you're going to want to run with these guys, the next ally that you're typically using, is MVP 17. These two characters are insane characters to run on a Universe Survival team, and they released alongside or earlier this year to be used alongside the Goku and Vegeta here. So 17 is a character that has a ton of support that you're going to be using for your team. Not really support, but a lot of utility, the endurance he has, things like that. This guy is timeless, best aging character of the year for sure. He released really early this year and is still dominating. Still very, very, very useful. And I would from here just use those three and build out the rest of the team around them and call it a day. I'm actually going to pull up the Universe Survival Saga tag instead. Yeah, I would build the team like that and call it a day and move on, but there are other options to consider. Now, a lot of the players that play the game will typically just use these three and then from here fill out their team with other characters that are just supplying HP Z abilities or other Z abilities or Zenkai ability buffing on your main characters, and that is a very, very viable way to play the game for sure. If I were to do that, I may move around some of this stuff, like putting 17 potentially in the leader. It just depends on what I have overall as a spread. But what I would say is I would like to consider you guys, I would like for you guys, excuse me, to consider a couple of other characters. And basically, these two characters are really, really interesting. They're both really strong. Frieza's got disruption and stuff like that. Jiren also kind of has some of that stuff too. These are two very strong yellow characters that you can slot into your team and kind of just use if you wanted to do so. Now, the problem with doing that is that those three are almost irreplaceable. If you were to make a change, it would be probably for 17, depending on the situation, if you don't really need his endurance, but it would probably be 17 because you've got rush control, you got offensive options with the other two tags, like you got crazy stuff going on. So 17 is the worst of the three in most cases, so you would probably do that. And if you were to do that, you would probably really want to plug in somebody else that would be able to help you out a ton. But again, after those three, there's a pretty big drop off. So when it comes to Universe Survival, while there are other options like those two, or secondary characters if you don't have one of these main three, like Kiawe is good, a few other Zenkais are good, I would, with this team, probably just do that thing I mentioned earlier that a lot of players are going to wind up doing and fill it out like this. I was actually not going to use the Frieza. I was going to put another HP or something like that on the team, but I decided to end on the Frieza because I do feel pretty good about this. So I would consider a team like this as one of the best possible teams for this character, if not the single best, because you have basically everything you would need. You also have the strong Z abilities, some Zenkai ability support, stuff like that. So let me know what you guys think about this Universe Reps team. Next up, we are going to move over to Vegeta Clan. Vegeta Clan is a really interesting one because it's not a great team. It may very well be the worst of these three teams we're going to cover for today, but I do want to talk about it because it is an option. Now, when it comes down to it, we're going to drop off all these characters and start off again with the tag character there. And some of the best characters in this grouping are either Zenkais or tags. And the best solo character, I think, in this group overall is going to be this Trunks. So we're going to immediately grab this Trunks, plug him in there. He is a little bit power crept due to some of the mechanics popping up on characters like Janemba, but if you're not versus Janemba, he can do what he wants to do, and he's still really strong as an offensive character, and also has the utility with the endurance and some of his stuff with his gauge. So we're going to plug him in there, and I know what you may be thinking. Well, who's a third? Now, this is where things get kind of interesting with this team, because you have several options that can function reasonably well. I wouldn't consider them because we're using Trunks. If you want to go double blue with reverse blue, you can kind of do that, but I wouldn't really use it personally. So there's that. Despite them getting an equip, I do think Trunks is still better, and I don't really think it's close either. I wouldn't consider any of the old tags. I wouldn't consider you. I could consider them, but again, same coloring, also reverse element. They're just flat out replaced here, so I wouldn't consider them actually. I would consider this character. Now, the reason why this character is interesting is because you've got the color covering of the other characters, so there's that. And it works out. Actually, don't they cover the color of the green both ways? Like they both reverse into strong colors. So yeah, I would consider that too. And this is a fun little trio because you've got awesome utility with the key reduction and shenanigans like that. So this could actually wind up being really, really strong. Trunks is the lone character here that doesn't really have a blast preference, but that's okay because Trunks shouldn't be your win condition in most cases. He can sometimes, but he's not really your win condition. That would be the new character, so there's that. Trunks and Vegeta also have a little bit of utility. The Vegeta side kind of sucks, but the Trunks side is all right. So a character that's a little bit better now with this type of team than they were probably previously. I also would consider, if I really wanted to do something fun, I would consider this Red Vegeta. Now, I personally wouldn't wind up using him. I think there's another support character or semi-support character you would want to use, but this guy's kind of interesting too because he does fun stuff like restoring Vanish, shortening sub count. He also, I believe, has defeated buffs and allies mechanics and stuff like that. So don't sleep on this guy as a character that you would potentially use on this team. But the problem with this guy is that he's red in a meta that has very strong blues, but again, he has defeated buff support stuff, so you would consider that as an option, right? But the last character out of all these characters that I am personally going to even consider for the team for Vegeta Clan is an old by the way, Zenkai. This man, he needs it. Like, if he gets a Zenkai, he could be really, really interesting on several teams. Zenkai is an oldie but goodie. This guy, he is heavily power crept. He is not good for anything but one thing. Actually, he may be good for a couple things because he can kind of stall with early combos and stuff like that. Drawing the blue card here, giving allies some damage. Like, there's actually some stuff here that's kind of still good. Like, the blast damage would be really good on the new tag character. There's some stuff here. The blue card, I believe, also increases damage. Like, the tag character would make benefits out of these things, right? But the main thing this character is even useful for today is going to be this effect down here. So when this character is defeated, give allies 35% damage increase, also restores their health, and takes 3 Dragon Balls off. So he himself is a character that's not doing much of anything. Like, individually, he's not doing damage, he's not tanking, but that's fine. He gives a bunch of support all over the place. He's a nice stall character because when he enters, he draws a card, gets key, blah, blah, blah. He also gives plus 20% damage inflicted by allies every time this character uses a card. Very strong support kit. He has some disruption with card destroy here. Also chops off the Dragon Balls, but the main thing is the defeated effect. The funny thing about him, wrong character, we definitely are considering him. The funny thing about him is I would actually use him as part of the main trio instead of the tag Trunks and Vegeta. Trunks and Vegeta are good, but what you could do with the top 3, and you can also keep Trunks and Vegeta as like another character if you wanted to plug them in as a yellow. Also, same goes for Evolution, the old Evolution. He's okay too, I guess. But the top 3, you can really do some fun shenanigans with that because you can make Trunks also pop off. So, like, he himself, the Vegeta, is a huge handicap individually. But he would make the other 2 explode, and they're both really, really, really strong with the crazy offensive and firepower that the new tag character has. They pretty much can exist with almost always having nullified cover changes. In the video I'll link down below, I did in the last match. I had an insane comeback with them. It was a 1v3. I should not have won, but I only won because they just comboed endlessly, and there was nothing the opponent could do. He couldn't stop them. They just kept going and going, and they're crazy. And you could imagine if I was able to use that Vegeta as a defeated character, they would be fine and better off. And also, the Dragon Ball reduction is crazy. It's crazy. So I actually, like, that Vegeta, all he needs is a Zenkai. And the funny thing is, if he gets a Zenkai, all he needs is new stats. Just give him new stats. He doesn't need anything else. They don't need to change anything. I don't care about anything else because his role is the same. He just needs updated stats. I don't care about anything else. They can make him better because he is a range character. He's a damage dealer. But he's actually really, really interesting. I would consider him, actually. I, for the most part, would steer clear from reds. But I want to say that, like I said, that Vegeta that we kind of talked about could be an interesting character. Now, I haven't spent a lot of time talking about like secondary options, what you do or don't have, things like that, because it's not really like it doesn't work the same with this character all that much. Like, we've kind of thrown a fourth character in for these videos, so that's more or less what we're focusing on. If you don't have Trunks, I'm just gonna be honest, there's not much point in running this team. You probably just kind of move on because you're not going to have a good enough blue. I mean, I just wouldn't do it. I think that they're better, but they're just not good enough, I think, right now. And there's also strong greens here, but there's already a strong green on your team. And I would, like I said, stay away from reds because Janemba being pretty prominent. Although you have green, so you can cover the Janemba weakness. So there's that. We're going to go ahead and fill out this team really quick. And bam, I love this right here. So let's see what we split up with here. So I was giving the tag character a Zenkai ability buff from the Vegeta, unless he's green future. Okay, he's not. Green Gaki, I was gonna say. They also got, so they're getting that. So they're gonna be stronger, obviously. And for the last few Z abilities, this is how things are looking. I chose the HP Vegeta for Z ability right there. I just love having an HP Z ability on my team. It's gonna sometimes make or break you. It's gonna make the difference between your characters living or dying. It's just that simple because they'll have more max base health. So I would consider always having one, as you guys saw with Bergamo in the last team, things like that. You can forego this if you want more offense or flat defenses, but I typically like to have one because more health is just valuable, right? It is what it is. Anyway, so we have a good mix of strike and blast for attacks and stuff like that, because we do want to have some of that with Trunks being a melee character and so on and so forth. I actually really, really like this setup. You can also take it a step further, drop this guy off, and then also include maybe another Zenkai ability or something like that that would apply to one of these characters. Now, what happens with some of these characters is that the Zenkai abilities are kind of watered down for other characters here. Like, if I were to put in him, I'm not sure he would be Zenkai ability buffing Trunks. Maybe I'll have to use the other Trunks, the blue Trunks. Okay, no, I can do this. This works. You can do that. Yeah, you can do that. Okay, so let's from here move on to Sun Family. Sun Family is not like Vegeta Family. Sun Family is actually gross because both new characters are in Sun Family. So, yeah, you can do that. Now, the funny thing is this character needs to move over because Gohan, I'm not sure, at least for me right now, does he pick up Sun Family at 6-star? Because this actually could be a problem. The ability for 6-star is, yeah, he picks up Sun Family. So yeah, to really run this effectively, you need 6-star Gohan. So there's that. Have fun summoning. Actually, you may have actually needed 6-star on this character to run these teams anyway too, so just kind of bear with me on that. I can't see where it is before, but yeah, so you probably needed that anyway. So Gohan is a melee character. We're just building mixed teams throughout the video, but wouldn't you know it, another Goku is a part of another strong character we already covered earlier, and bam. Okay, you can't get full 6, it looks like right here, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. I don't really care. Actually, you know what? Goku and Frieza go in the leader on this setup. And what would happen is if I had 6-star Gohan, they would be getting, yeah, so that's what it is. You need 6-star Gohan, Goku and Frieza in the leader, and you would have all these characters getting the Z ability. So, good lord, do you see how scary that is? Like, goddamn. That is, you got every color but yellow, so okay, that's good, whatever. Dude, that's terrifying. That is actually terrifying. So Sun Family is pretty cracked. And also the fun thing with Sun Family is if you don't have a certain character, say you need like a blue but you don't have Goku and Frieza, well, you could also kind of plug in a good character, Beast. I think Beast is better than the tag Super Saiyan 3, Super Saiyan 2, even with their equip. I think Beast is pretty solid. I think Beast is a character that you can use reliably. Also, another thing with like Beast and like the future Trunks and stuff like that is that they've had like endurance, right? And that's very valuable too as another character that can eat some hits for you. So there's that. And just moving on from here really quickly, like if you wanted to mix it up a little bit, say you don't have the other Beast, you could do like this guy reliably. Like you can plug in a bunch of different characters with Sun Family because it's just more fleshed out than Vegeta Family. And it's not even because they're focusing on this, it's just they release like a lot of freaking Gokus in this game. So it is what it is. They just release a lot of Gokus in this game, and it's not all Gokus, but a lot of the characters they're dropping is Goku's family. And so when they're tied into a tag, unlike Dokkan, for example, they're obviously, you know, going to have both traits. So we're going to start with this. I think this looks really good, and how we would fill out this team is as follows. Now, interestingly enough, unlike the other teams, Sun Family has a bit more of an issue with filling out the rest of the bench, because you really have to kind of pick your poison with what you want. Gohan not being an actual Saiyan, being a hybrid Saiyan, does limit a lot of your options, and also the characters that have Zenkai abilities, which you want to try to have on your main characters, are going to have one of two things happening. So I've got those Gohan and Goten characters on the bottom. They're applying their Z abilities and Zenkai abilities to the team because they're going to Sun Family for the Z ability. And the Zenkai ability is going to like an individual character, but they're giving off single stat, like power crept versions of Z abilities, which you would like to typically try to avoid on your teams. This is a very bad Z ability. So while one character is getting super min maxed, you're making the sacrifice of the other characters getting a crappy single stat Z ability, right? So there's that. That's one thing that kind of winds up happening. Also, you'll see situations where like this guy, he's going to Z ability buff the entire team with the power crept Z ability, by the way, but not applying a Zenkai buff there because, you know, he's going to Sun Family. But if you try to pull a actual character that can do it for Saiyans or whatever, Gohan kind of gets left out, so you kind of run into a bunch of weird situations like that. Also, I don't know that this team has an HP buffer flat. They've got the Goku one, but that would require you to put Gohan in the leader slot, which you may be able to get away with. Actually, that might just be the move. I didn't consider that, but putting Gohan in the leader slot kind of alleviates some of the Z ability concerns and allows you to be a little bit more flexible, like with at least having double stat Z abilities. Like, for example, you could do that and put Gohan in the leader slot, and all of a sudden you've got a way better Z ability on your team than Goten's, right? So that may just flat out be the move. But the most important thing is the top three. And you want to, again, if you're not putting Gohan in the leader slot, you can change your team around a bit if you do, but putting Gohan in the leader actually may just, like I said, be the move, because what winds up happening, I didn't mean to do that, what winds up happening is with Gohan in the lead, all of a sudden you can use this Goku to get that strong HP Z ability. We'll pull back Goku and Frieza in a minute. We can do that. We can also put another Z ability here like this one, which is not perfect, but it's still better than anything else because it's still a double stat one. And then we go ahead and grab back Goku and Frieza, and our team looks a lot better overall. And let's see what we have in terms of a spread. So Gohan's got his own. He's getting all the ones that he's missing from like Vegeta and Goku, because now he's not being a part of like God Key or whatever. He's missing all these by default, but the leader slot's allowing him to get all those, so that's good. And then also his not being a 6-star is actually getting applied to the other characters, which is good. This is the move. I didn't consider this as the puzzle piece earlier, but that is the move. This is your way around the 6-star issue with Gohan. So yeah, this actually works out a lot better. You're getting the Z abilities. You're getting, I like this a lot. This looks perfect. It's a shame that the Goku doesn't Zenkai buff Red Sun Family. It's just Red Saiyans. If he gave that 20 to 25% split to Red Sun Family, this would be excellent. But it's good because we're still getting that HP. You can also forego the HP, like I mentioned earlier, if you want to do something else. That's fair too. But I really, really did like this team. Now, I wanted to throw in a bonus team, and that's going to be God Key. God Key is a bit more of a puzzle than some of these other ones because they've got some interesting characters on the team that also kind of run into some issues with team construction. So unlike the other teams, Goku and Frieza are not available for us here, but we do have Ultra Vegito and Gogeta. We've got the Blue Zamasu, who's still pretty solid. We have Whis, who's also a solid character to consider. We have some Zenkais that are okay, but those are more or less the characters that I'm looking at it. Those are more or less the characters I would consider using for this team. I'm considering those guys the same way you're considering hitting that thumbs up yet because you haven't done it. Hit that thumbs up, guys. All right. So yeah, so this is what I would start off with as a base, and I mean, it can throw them into. So here's where things get kind of weird. So first and foremost, Z abilities may or may not apply to the whole team. You get that point. That's kind of just how things work, because some of these characters may or may not have God Key. To be fair, I don't have the 6-star on my Ultras, so maybe that's missing for them too. But just operating at maximum capacity, most of these characters will have that. Next up, Ultras. The Ultras are going to be in a wonky spot depending on the direction you take this team. There's a world where you put like the tag in the front spot and the leader slot, and then fill out the back 3 spots, run the top row, fill out the back 3 spots with like Gogetas and Vegito Blues, so you can get the Ultra abilities for the most part, almost all of it. But this Ultra ability is actually functioning as intended and making it difficult to build a complete team with mostly all of our stats maxed out on every character. That's what this is for. Now, it doesn't always stop people, but this really wants us to run Fusion Warriors on both characters. If these were God Key, this would be excellent, but no, it's Fusion Warriors. And so the way around that is to drop these 3, move, like I said, this guy off over here, and fill out these last 3 slots with Gogetas and Vegitos. Actually, Zamasu works too. So that works too, and you would get almost all of the ultra abilities on both of those characters, and you could maybe mix in some Z abilities that are really, really strong and or Zenkai abilities, and that would work out too. Now, the question arises of, is this the best trio in the first place? I'd argue yes. I'd also argue a placement for each of these two characters. Zamasu can be really interesting as a defensive option for your team, particularly versus some characters like Vegeta Blue, who you may or may not still run into really, really reliably and often. Also could be a good character in this meta with Beast in a lot of matches, because in a lot of cases, the match is probably going to be this new character right here, the Beast Gohan or Vegeta Blue, in some combination. Like, not every match going to have all three, but each match will probably include one of those characters is the point, and 2 of the 3 are red. So there you go. Zamasu could be really useful. And so who would you drop in that case? You would put Vegeta in the leader and you drop Gogeta. Now, you could run your team like this. Like I said, put Vegeta back in the lead. Run your team like this and fill out the last 2 slots and keep those 4 as optional and use whoever you want, right? You would be sacrificing Gogeta's ultra ability, and trust me, Gogeta will get blown up without that ultra ability. Well, Gogeta kind of just gets blown up anyway nowadays. I was using him on a full Super Saiyan Blue team without the ultra ability, and he just was getting blown up. So he's just old. He's not, he is what he is. He's not really tanky, but his main saving grace is that gauge. That gauge is super impactful and very strong. So that's the main thing with him. So you can do that. You can plug this guy in and give him an ultra ability, I believe. Not ultra, Zenkai ability. Is it Purple Saiyans, right? It's Purple Saiyans. It is not Purple Saiyans, so that's not going to work. So you just got to find the right mixture, but I would say that something about these characters is mainly the way you would want to go. Now, I had Whis up here a couple of times, and I didn't really finish explaining the point with Whis. So Whis is a support character, utility character. He also holds this green. He also puts that strike damage up card in your deck, so he's a good support for those 2 things. Both of those other 2 characters, being Vegito and the tag, have really, really strong green card effects that they're using. Now, with the tag, it's kind of interesting because they get worse progressively with the green card, right? So you don't really necessarily want to do that too much, but it's still useful, and you would like to get as many greens as possible. Whis also has other support things in his kit, also has good sustainability. He obscures cards. It's just interesting to see how things could work out for you if you use Whis instead, and it takes off the onus of trying to focus on the Gogeta character instead. I don't think that Whis is a better individual character, but I think he could fit this team better as a 3rd fighter is the point. So Whis is an interesting one with all the effects he can apply to my tag and make them pop off more, in which case the team also makes a little bit more sense if Whis is there instead of Gogeta, because we don't have that entire ultra ability snafu that we talked about a moment ago. We just completely bypass all of that, and so you can fill out the last couple of slots with Zenkai/Z abilities that will be focused and geared more towards your main 2 fighters, and the team looks a lot better and smoother. So that's more or less what I would consider for this team. And you have other options too, like you can maybe no, I would probably just put this guy in, the original God Key character. So let's put him there, and I think that works out pretty good, in which case you can use any of the front 4 things like that. It works out pretty good, and I think that you would be successful with this as well. So all right guys, stay tuned for the Beast Gohan edition, where we cover the top teams for Beast Gohan. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you later.